I mean, needless to say, we are like beyond excited about being here and being able to offer this to you for free and being able to bring in partners who are donating of their services and donating of their goods so that you can get juiced about being active and also about building your tribe. There's so much research out there right now that speaks on how important a tribe of women, what the impact it has on your health. And it goes beyond, like, if you were to quit smoking or build a tribe of women, like, building a tribe of women actually is better for your health than quitting smoking.
Do both.
Which is gnarly. Right? But I mean, that's so mind-blowing. Yeah. That's so mind-blowing. So that's kind of where we come from, is that, like, that's kind of the foundation of this whole thing. And the exercise and the nutrition and all of that, it's definitely important, but it's really about finding some peeps who just get you and that you can just call up, like when you were in college. Tanya were talking about this. When I was in college, I had a roommate, and I'd be like, hey, you want to go see a movie? Sweet, yeah, let's go. No problem.
When's the last time you did something like that?
Yeah, like it's so, and our lives are so much more complex as women that you can't just usually call someone up and be like, you want to go for a walk? Yeah, sure. It's like, okay, 2 weeks from now, on a Saturday, from 9 to 9:30, I can walk with you if you come to my house. Oh, and by the way, I've got the jogging stroller, so let's not do hills, and you know what I mean? Like, there's all of these conditions, and so we're trying to, as much as possible, eliminate the barriers to your connecting with other women and reaping the health benefits of that. So anyway, so I'll stop talking. We both talk a lot, so but I'll let Tanya talk about kind of her, so you get an idea of where she's coming from.
So so I am 38. In a couple weeks after this challenge, I'm going to turn 39. And I was thinking this morning about kind of what brought me here, like what brought me to Tina, what brought me to Sandra, what brought me to all of you. And as my friend Marianne can attest, it has been a crazy 8 years of my life. So I started my 30s by getting divorced. And that was like the terrifying thing of my whole life, right? Because I was like, my husband is really not good for my life in any way, and yet it's sort of the only life I understand. So I started my 30s by walking out and starting fresh, and that was really scary. But then it seemed like that was such a refreshing and perfect thing for me to have done that it's sort of the only thing I've done since, actually. I keep reinventing myself in these terrifying ways, and I'm hoping that in my 40s maybe I'm going to learn what it feels like to stop reinventing myself and just be like the person who I want to be in the comfortable environment and community, hopefully with all of you around. So I got divorced. I moved from the Sierra Foothills and 100 other places where we had lived to San Francisco, and I dove in headfirst to the dating pool. I joined Match.com, and I was like, I'm getting this on. I dated everybody I could find, and I went out to so many awesome dinners, and had such a great time that I was like, you know what, I'm kind of ready for something real now. Like, I thought I'd have a baby by 30, and I'm nothing like that. So I met my husband. He lived in Walnut Creek. I was real snobby about Walnut Creek. I wasn't going to date anybody outside the city. And this guy pursued me, and yet he didn't, because he kept telling me about other women he was dating. And I was like, why are you terrorizing me like this? Like, I don't know if I like you, but the more you pull away from me, the more I want to like you. So that was a while ago. We dated for a few months, and we got married very quickly. We moved to Boston 2 weeks after we got married. Because we had to start everything fresh. Like, everything was all about getting fresh and getting in there. So Boston in the middle of winter, in March, still the middle of winter, was a little bit crazy for me. I grew up in Sacramento, and that was a bit much. That was tough. So not that people didn't tell us it was going to be crazy, but we didn't care. So we started our life there. We did everything we could to meet people, but Boston is a tough place to meet people just for a lot of reasons, and I didn't have a group like this. So I complained for 3.5 years about the weather. I complained for 3.5 years about not having enough girlfriends, about not having a community, about everything. I had a baby in Boston, my first child, and I just came back from Boston the other day for my first visit back. I have the best community there. I have the coolest girlfriends there. I have so much there. And I'm like, you know what's awesome about that? Is I have a Boston community, I have a San Francisco community. I have a Seattle community because I lived there too. We went from Boston to Seattle. Then we went back to San Francisco for a little while. Then we went down to the Peninsula and San Carlos. And then we came out here, and now we're like, is this it? Is this the thing? Is this the place where we can really do a life together, and soccer and girlfriends and fun, fabulous, fierce, and all of this? Is like, is this it? And I'm like, oh my God, this is what it feels like to have a real life, like where you're not constantly packing in boxes. So I wanted to share all of that with you so that you know that I'm not just a stay-at-home mom. I'm not just somebody who likes to run and do things like that, because I know a lot of people were a little bit frightened. This is a running challenge. This is not about running at all. I've been a very hard-charging consultant, traveling every week. I've had a very disconnected life in many ways. And yet now I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, I'm trying to build a community for myself, but I thought the coolest way to do that is with someone who I love and building it around a whole bunch of people who I love. So we came up with this idea based on something that I did in Seattle, but we really wanted to see if it would work. We thought maybe 25 people will sign up. Maybe we'll target 50. That's a pretty comfortable goal, and it seemed like we thought that's what this room was supposed to hold. Well, as of the last time I checked my computer, which I've been noticing a bunch of name tags I didn't check in, we have 79 people registered. I have no idea what my personal goals are for this, because that was it! I need to figure out what my next thing is, because you guys have just made it all come true for me. So I just wanted to say thank you for that. Was there anything else I was going to say? That's all I could think of. No, I made some notes on my phone. Check. Oh, sure, you can. Oh, right. So, to bring it all home, and let you know that like I have real problems, just like all of you. Not that I seem so perfect, but I am absolutely a mom and a runner and a Pilates maniac right now, and everything else. And the biggest challenge that I'm facing right now, and the reason why I do Pilates and I'm going to try bar method and everything else, is because every time I go running, if I'm not supported, I will wet my feet.
It's okay you can laugh, because we think it's funny too. It's just like, oh my God, I'm peeing my pants. Oh my God!
I came home from a run one day, and I had on a pair of pants kind of like these, and there was seriously like pee down my legs. My son and my 7-year-old nephew were like, "Do you wear your pants?" I go pee in the potty.
I only have to sneeze.
Yeah, don't laugh too hard, you know. Be like cleaning the portrait, right? So we're all here, we're all real, we all have maybe similar problems. And, we're just super excited.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will quickly talk about me, and then I'll tell you about me as we keep going. But essentially, my journey with health and wellness started, really, when I look back, it's probably like when I was 6 or 7, and I was like in my garage with Casey and the Sunshine Band, shake your booty, and I got my friends in the neighborhood to come out, and like, we'd be like doing great. I'm like, great, good, great fun. Okay, and I was turning around, and then let's go put my mom's wedges on with this nice dress, and so I dolled us all up, and then I would teach routines in my garage. And that was what I did for fun. And then when I was a teenager, I was a receptionist at 24-Hour Nautilus back in the day. I grew up in San Jose. And then I realized, dude, you can do this and get money. Like, that's crazy, because I've been doing this since I was like 6. That's awesome. So I ended up getting my group exercise certificate as soon as I could, which is when I was 18. So I was kind of like a cheerleader dancer. I did some track, I did some swimming. One thing also that I want to note is when I was 11, I was diagnosed with scoliosis, and it was very progressive. And so right away I had to have surgery. So I still have rods in my back. But I had spinal fusion, so for 2 years I couldn't do anything. And back then they're just like, if it hurts, don't do it, and you can't do anything for 2 years. So I was 135 pounds in 6th grade. You know, and I remember a math teacher who said to me, he was a wrestling coach. He was like, Tina, you need to wrestle. You know, you're like as big as this guy. And I remember like, that's so crazy. Like, oh my God, I want to wrestle. You know, I'm bigger than this guy over here. But anyway, so I had gained a lot of weight. And again, I loved to dance. That was my passion. And now, like, my dreams of being a ballerina were over because my spine is fused. And then when I was a freshman, they're like, hey, do whatever you want. And again, if it hurts, just stop doing that. So I did track and swimming and, do whatever I could do because I was so immobile for so long. But meanwhile, like, I really love Jane Fonda and her leg warmers, and like, I grew up with Gilad on TV, which is still around, and so that's really where my passion comes from. So kind of fast forward, I went to school for health and fitness. I've been with like every freaking gym you can think of. And my last professional job that I had working for somebody was with Google. And I was a manager for them, managing their, at the time, 6 gyms on their campus and all the staff. So it was amazing. It was like just incredible. But I did that for a year and then figured like, dude, this is, whoa, like it's a little too much. And I was commuting and I had some family members who were ill, and that was the reason why I was commuting, because they lived in San Jose and it was in Mountain View and I could help them. And I realized at the end of a year I was so taxed out. I was taking care of, my mom was ill, I was taking care of my aunt who has since passed of cancer. But I was going, everything was out, and I was driving over an hour a day, and I started having physical signs of illness. And so one day I'm going to eat lunch, and Google, they got this like crazy crab lunch, like a crazy crab laid out. I'm like, yes! I'm with my boss, we're like, dude, we're gonna totally chow down on this crab, it's awesome. And I started having symptoms of a stroke. And I'm looking at her, and she's looking at me, and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no. And I sit down, and then I can't talk, and my face is drooping, and she's telling me to stick out my tongue, and I'm like, what the heck?
Tell them what she said.
Oh, she's like, are you stroking out on me right now? Because we had that kind of like relationship, right? And I'm like, I don't think so, because I was totally coherent. But my whole right side of my body went weak and I couldn't talk, blah, blah, blah. So again, fast forward to now, and I've been diagnosed with hemiplegic migraines, which have stroke-like symptoms. But for me, it was really about, these were manifestations of stress. I had so much going out, and my balance, I didn't have any balance in my life. And here I'm a health and wellness person, and I'm sick. And so it was a really big eye-opener for me, like, wow, I need to address, I work out, no problem, but I'm not dealing with all this other thing these other things to create this balance to be really well and healthy. And so now I'm in this place where it's not just about the exercise, and it's not about driving yourself into the ground. I mean, really, I did exercise, and that was my metaphor for running away from my problems. I used it, and I've been using it since I was young. It's a coping mechanism. So literally, I'll go on a run, and it became like we started training for a marathon, and I would get to 3 miles, and my body would shut down. And I'm like literally on the trail like this. I'm okay, I'm not having a stroke, it's cool. Because it eventually wears off. But it really made me think about changing my perspective on using exercise. I was abusing it, really. And again, it's just very interesting on how we do that in the cycles that we get into. So for me, this is so great because I want to give that back to people. I want to let people know that it's not just about driving yourself into the ground. It's not just about giving and giving and giving and giving and not paying attention to the physical and emotional signs that are going on in your body, because they've been going on in me since I was in high school, or before that, really. But I've just been like, I don't feel it. I'm not trying to do that. I don't want to know what's going on in my head. Like, I'm going to run away from it. So really, this is spiritual and emotional and physical, and again, with the whole support. Yeah.
I just want to point this out. I noticed something that you've said about 12 times in the last minute, and that is give, 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 give.
Yeah.
I'm giving too much, and I want to give back to all of you, and give, give, give. So it's not just about what Tina's going to give to all of us. It's also about what we are going to give back to you.
Yeah.
We have to do this together.
And that's for every person in this room. It's that, I'm going to feed off of Kristen. I know she likes hiking, and I see her post, and I'm like, oh, that's so awesome, And there's a lot of different women in this room. When you connect and you hear what each other is doing, it's filling, it's great. And this is giving back to me. You just being in this room is giving back to me. Actually, my health has improved since we've been working on this, because this is something I'm so passionate about doing that I've always wanted to do, but I've always done it for somebody else. And now I'm like, wow, I'm finally doing it for myself. That's awesome. So anyway, so that's a little bit about me and kind of where I'm coming from. So I have my own business. So now my husband and I, we've teamed up. We're working for ourselves. It's been like this crazy wild ride. Totally freak out scary. We got 2 kids, but it's been awesome. Like there's moments where we're just like, this is so cool that we're doing this. Yeah. And then there's other times like, what are we gonna eat? I don't know. Mac and cheese? Okay, cool. Like, yeah. And not that that's the case, but I'm just saying, like, it's for his funds, but it's okay. It's worth the risk. So anyways, we gotta get on. Yeah, it's a real deal. So, all right. So we're gonna. Yeah. Cool. So about the challenge, right? So now we got the 8 spokes, and you're familiar with that of wellness. So Tanya's going to talk a little bit about how is it that you're going to earn points. Because the challenge is, and we're going to get rewarded for moving and connecting and all of these things and addressing the 8 areas of wellness. But, you know, how, what are you going to be doing the next 8 weeks? So Tanya's going to talk to you about that.
So there's one other comment that I wanted to make before we get started, and that is the Mount Diablo Mothers Club has been very generous in allowing us to use them as one of our filters, one of our methods for recruiting. And that's awesome, and we love moms, and we are moms, and we have little kids, and a lot of you maybe do, and maybe you don't. And the one thing that I want to say that's been really core for me throughout this whole process is this is not a mom's challenge, this is for women. And the reason I want to point that out so clearly is there was a long time for me where I wanted to have children, I wanted to be married, I wanted to be moving on to another stage of my life. I tried to have a baby for a year. I had a child. I wanted to try to have a baby for a year, and it wasn't happening, and we couldn't figure out why. Eventually it happened, thank goodness, and now we don't worry about that stuff anymore. But it was, you know, all these things are very painful. And so I just want to point out that, you know, if you have a girlfriend who's struggling with any one of those things and didn't think maybe she should join you here because she's not a mom or doesn't fit one of those categories, as long as she's a woman, lesbian, transgendered, married, single, 15, I don't care. If she wants to come and be a part of this, we would like to welcome her. Okay? I just want to point that out. So, it is a challenge and it's a bit of a game. We thought that might make it kind of fun, to make it so that you're all kind of working together, but a little bit like a reality show, you're also kind of working against each other. You don't have to eat any worms, but it's going to be fun, right? So these are all the ways that you can earn points. So you're going to work with a partner, so you and your partner will each be working together to motivate one another. If you have a partner and you already know your partner, that's awesome. If you don't, then before you leave today, we're going to try to hook you up with somebody. And if we don't make that happen because we run out of time, which is probably going to happen, then we're going to work through Facebook and all of our other social media mechanisms to make sure that everybody has a partner. And this isn't going to be like the baseball field where you're the one last kid who doesn't have a partner. It's not like that. It's just going to be a matter of time as far as how quickly we can make it all happen. So these are the ways that you can earn points toward those fabulous prizes at the end. So a lot of the prizes are listed on our Facebook page or our website. But there's other stuff coming. There are secrets and there are surprises and there are things that we don't even know about yet. Because people keep emailing us and offering us stuff, which is really fun. So these are the ways that you can earn points, and there will be different points values for different things that you might do. So I know it's super small, so I'm going to read through it real quick. So first of all, attend our Fun Fabulous Fierce Sunday morning. Every time you come to one of these, you automatically get the largest chunk of points you can get for anything else you might do. Do a Fun Fabulous Fierce workout video. Tina and I are working right now on creating, actually she's really in charge. I'm just the one who does the weights. She's a model. She tells me what to do and I do it. So we're going to do a series of very short workout videos. So maybe in 5 minutes you get to warm up, and in 4 minutes you work out, and then in another 3 minutes you cool down. Or you can combine a whole bunch of them and get a half hour, an hour, however much you feel like you want. But every time you do one of those, and we have no way of knowing whether you did it or you didn't, so this is all on the honor system, and we trust each other, right? Because otherwise, why would you be here? So if you do some of our workout videos, we're going to give access to everybody who's a part of the challenge, free subscription throughout the period of the challenge to our workout channel, and then after it's over, we'll offer you, just like everybody else is, some discounts on how to get you staying with us. Attend a Fun Fabulous Fierce partner event. So these are all of our sponsors. Lululemon Sports Basement. They have so many free things for you to do. If you look at their website, sometimes it's almost too much for me. And like Wednesday, there's like 15 events. And it's hard for me because I have 2 children. And they have their nap schedules and their preschool schedules and all that stuff. So if it's hard for you to attend some of that stuff because you have kids, look down here at the bottom. One way you can earn some points is by watching a girlfriend's children while she works out. So let's create some little babysitting co-ops so that we can all achieve our goals together. I've been in babysitting co-ops in one of the 15 places where I've lived in the last 2 years. It's really cool. So try that. Bring a friend to one of these events. It could be a sports basement event, Lululemon, anything you want to do, bring a friend and hook up. Do a fitness class. Make a workout happen. That's important. Get together with someone you don't know. So when I did this challenge in Seattle, I posted on the little Facebook page that I was going to go running on this one morning. I was going to meet at 7 o'clock, and if anybody wanted to join me. And I was kind of sad because, like, the night before at 8:15, nobody had responded, and I was like, I told my husband, I'm like, I don't think anybody's going to come. And then at like 9:17, this woman, Elena, emailed me, and she was like, if it's not too late, I can meet you tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock. I'd love to. And I was like, sure. Oh my God. Elena and I are such good friends. She's one of my maybe 4 or 5 Seattle people who, you know, something happens when you go out and you spend time with someone you don't know. Because it's like, we're both out there for the same thing. I don't know anything about you, and you don't know anything about me. And we're going to go running, so we're going to spend some time just talking on the most basic level. Like, what do you do for a living? Or what did you do before you have kids, if you don't work out? Get together with someone you do know. More points for someone you don't know. Drink 8 glasses of water every day. I mean, what doctor, what anybody is going to tell you that drinking water is like the best thing you can do. It'll improve your fitness so quickly. It'll improve your mind so quickly. You can think better if you drink water. Whatever. I don't need to explain it. You know what I'm talking about. That's only worth 2 points, though. You can only get those 2 points once every day. Host or attend a veggie chopping party. This is something that's cool because eating well is, you know, obviously the more produce that you have in your house, the more produce that you eat is really good for you. But sometimes I find that I buy the stuff, but it's just in there. So it's like, sure, I would love to snack on carrot sticks, but I'm not going to, like, at 3 o'clock go in and, like, try it on and all that other stuff. So, invite some friends over, or invite everybody over, and do it in your backyard. Say, bring a cutting board, bring your vegetables, bring a knife, bring your kids. I'll bring some wine, you bring some wine. Let's drink.
In moderation.
Let's drink something.
Like a subtle recipe for
It's our kids running around.
But first you're going to have to fill out a waiver before you come in.
I don't take any responsibility for what happens.
Yeah.
So then you leave that night and you're like, I have no reason not to eat chopped up carrots because I have a huge Ziploc full of them now. So that's awesome. Add a healthful new addition to your life. So a new vitamin, a new appointment. Check out Dr. Laura. Check out some of the other things that we have for you in the goodie bag. Try some of these things. You get some points for it. It's fun. Stretch for 5 minutes a day. Meditate for 5 minutes a day. Or watch a friend's children. Or do something that we didn't list and tell us what it is. And then we'll tell all of you. Like, you know, Karen came up with a really good idea, and I thought that was really cool. So why don't you guys do that if you want to? And we'll add it to our list, and that's for you. All right? So that's how you can earn some points.
Okay. So one thing I just want to say really quickly is that most of our meetings will be here, but there are a few things that are going to be off-site. For instance, next week, don't show up here. We ain't going to be here. So make sure that you go to Civic Park in Walnut Creek because we'll be doing yoga with Lululemon out on the grass. It'll be awesome. So super awesome. And then we'll also be meeting just to the right. If you're familiar with Civic Park, there's a playground, and to the right of the playground are some picnic benches. We're going to be meeting up there at 9, and we've got a person from Light the Night who's going to come out and talk to us about an event that we can all do together, which will be really awesome. So the other couple of dates are up here. October 20th, we're going to be doing a boot camp at Heather Farm, and then the 17th, which is our grand finale party, is going to be held at Orchard Nursery. Woot woot, Kathy. Kathy Orchard Nursery. And it's a beautiful place. Like, you will not want to miss this. This place is like amazing. And then during the holidays, like all their boutiques are all decked out. Like I always get all of my ornaments there.
Turkey.
Turkeys. Yeah, so they have they're farm animals, and my kids love it. So make sure that you note that those are the 3 dates that we will not, and we'll send out reminders like, hey, don't show up over here, show up over here, you know, because it will happen. There will be people at the door like, what's going on? And they're going to be like, oh my God, I totally forgot. But we'll send out a little reminder. I'm loading.
computer though, so let me go grab it. Now's a great time to stretch your legs real quick. You want to stand up, sit down? Yay. And then there will also be bonus activities. So those things that we're scheduled, so again, we have stuff scheduled every Sunday, but then we've also took the liberty of scheduling some activities outside of the Sundays as well. For instance, I don't know if you've been downtown Walnut Creek where they have Canvas and Cabernet. Anybody? Anybody? Mm-hmm. So it's like art and wine. It's like an art and wine festival for you. Yeah, it's like your own personal art and wine festival. So we'll be doing one of those nights. We've got a bar method workout. All of these things. Well, we've got some people who are donating some stuff that's really awesome. So the bar method workout will be free. So look at the event calendar, and we'll post some events, and then we'll want you to RSVP. So like for instance, bar method, there's only 28 spots. So only 28 people can go, and we've got lots of peeps here. So if you really want to go to that, keep your eyes open for the event, and then RSVP to that. Also, if you haven't already, our Facebook page, liking it, because we update everything and we kind of send you reminders, and we've got some, affirmations and some positive stuff and just good stuff going on there. So make sure you like us if you're active on Facebook. And then I also put the schedule of events on Google Calendar, and I sent most everybody, except if you're newer, I probably still have to share that with you. But you have that. So if you have Google Calendar, if you don't, it's amazing. But you can access all of our events on there as well. Tina, can we post a link to the Google Calendar? So what you can do is, we will, if you are going to put an event together, if you're going to, Tabitha had a great idea, and she's like, oh, I want to do this event, can I pitch that to, these people? And I'm like, fabulous, yeah, that's awesome. Go on Facebook, you say, hey ladies, I'm going to blah, 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 you know what I mean? Or email us and say, hey, I'm going to put this together, then I'll create the thing for it. Does that make sense? So email us, if you're going to put something together, email us the deets so that we can post it if you want it open to everybody else. Otherwise, you just network with your peeps and be like, hey, we're going to meet up, blah, blah, blah.
Did you actually create a Facebook page, a standalone page?
Yeah. Yes. So it's facebook.com/funfabulousspheres, and the website is funfabulousspheres.wordpress.com. And the Google Calendar is not quite so easy to locate, but I think it's by invitation only, because we've already had some random people posting stuff on there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's public? Yeah. So we're trying to...
The Fabulous Fierce one is not public, because when I do a search for it on Facebook, I can't pull it up.
You can't find it?
Right.
Oh.
Have you considered doing a group on there also, so that only the people
Yeah.
in this,
Yeah.
and then we could put, hey, I'm going running on this time.
It's a really
we'll actually get
right now you
notifications.
can do that on the Facebook page,
yeah.
but you make a good point. We should create a closed group.
Because I don't think everybody will get notified necessarily. I don't know.
Right, but you should know that it's being and that's hard. You're right. We'll get on that. We'll get on that today.
And then everybody else can't see it.
Right, totally.
Right, because what we don't want is to have it, there are people from all over the place who've been liking the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because there's, there's lots of girls on there. Yeah. So has anybody in the room ever done team in training? Big hand. Oh, yeah. Team in training? Are you familiar with
Go team!
Go team! Yeah. Are you familiar with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society? So this is all kind of a big coincidence, but I'm familiar with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society because once upon a time I wanted to do a marathon. Somebody talked me to do a triathlon instead. And years later, here I am. I've done 10 triathlons, and I've raised around $10,000 for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, this woman named Vicky sent us an email and said, hey, I saw your note about Fun Fabulous Fierce in the Sports Basement newsletter, and I was wondering if you guys would like to participate in an event that Leukemia and Lymphoma Society has every year. And we were like, well, yeah, it's kind of interesting that you should say that. It's unfortunately interesting because one of our Mount Diablo moms was recently, on June 29th, diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, which I happen to know is pretty nasty stuff. And even if it wasn't nasty, one of our moms, one of our peeps, is having a bone marrow transplant tomorrow. Her brother was able to is a match for her, and they're checking in, maybe as we speak, actually. She was going to try to join us today, but obviously today is her last day at home for the next, I think, 2 months. So throughout the time we'll be doing this, she'll be in the hospital without physical access to any other person. So I don't want to cry, because it's just not, I don't want to do that right now, but it's a lot for all of us to think about what she's going through. She was just a regular person 2 months ago, and now she's really fighting for her life. So we told the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society that we signed you all up and committed you to raise $100 a week. And they said, awesome! So, no, that's not true, but we would like for you to sign up. You can do Light the Night. It's an evening event. There'll be like all sorts of balloons and lit up stuff, and we'll walk around like it's like a 1 mile or 2 mile walk or something like that around downtown Walnut Creek. And next week at the Lululemon Yoga, Vicki will be with us to talk about it. She included a document as well as wristbands for each of us in the goodie bag. And anyway, to talk about Mara just briefly, I've only really met her once, but she's just one of those people with a huge spirit. She has a blog that she updates right now every day. I don't know if she'll keep up with that. You're all welcome to join it. If you want to let me know, I can forward you the link to it, and she'll get you all on there. She puts this just really simple post stuff every day. Like, I got to take my kids to the park today because I'm not in the hospital. And that's so rad, you know? That's so great that I just get to go to the grocery store and do regular stuff in between getting blood drawn and all that other crap that she has to go through. So it's good. It's either free or a $100 donation or as much money as you feel like raising, and we would love to have you join us. Tina and I will be there, and all our little...
It's a kid-friendly...
All our little boys.
Yeah.
So what's in that fab bag? Open it up. Check it out. So first of all, the Mount Diablo Monk Club provided a bag. So the co-directors of the Mount Diablo Monk Club for the moment are right here with us. This is Anne and Kate. Oh, you guys stand up first? So we went to one of their steering committee meetings a few months ago, and we were like, listen, we're going to do this thing, and you guys have to support it. And they were like, okay. So our second sponsor that's in the bag, or maybe not in the bag.
Oh, yeah, not in the bag. We'll be in the bag. I'll give it to you if you guys leave. I feel like all this crazy is going on, so we're just in the bag.
Live Good Fitness. Yeah, let's go through it quickly. So Live Good Fitness is Tina's family business, and we want you to get out there. So the reason I want to go through the bag, and we'll do it real fast, is just because this isn't like, you know, I do these 5Ks or whatever, and you get this bag and it's full of all this cute stuff, and I'm like, good shit, recycle. All these things are things that Tina and I went around town and we begged people to help us and to become a part of it and all this other stuff. So we really want you at least read it, take a look at it. There's tons of free stuff in there. There's tons of free workout opportunities. Yoga Works is giving every one of us a week-long free pass, and then our winners will get a month-long free pass. Chiropractic. We have Usborne Books, which is Diane from the Mom Club. And something that's very, very dear to my heart is the Band of Women, which is an organization in San Francisco that's very much like what we're doing here. They are just a group of women who have an online forum, but they also have a writing contest every year. So the book that you have in there is their anthology that was published last year. And this year, I entered their essay contest because I like to write, and I thought, I think it might have been the same day we were running. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this thing, but I don't know if I'm going to finish it. She was like, yeah, you are. I'm going to bug you until you do. So Tina and I worked on it. My husband helped me a little bit, and my story is going to get published in December. So a Band of Women gave us a copy of last year's anthology, and the topic was kind of poignant. It's the power of the connection of female connections. So these are all real stories written by women, both in the Bay Area and all over the place, but mostly in the Bay Area. It's really cool, and I think you'll enjoy it. So we probably don't have time to go through the rest, but there's some great stuff in there, and we encourage you to check out every one of these businesses and really try to patronize them because they were nice enough to help us.
Yeah. So these are just some more people who donated prizes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Benjo dope.
yeah. The last night we're doing the slides, like finishing, she's like, I'm going to give they should spend their dough on these people because they're so nice and the stuff is so awesome. And we got a little punchy at the end of the night. Okay, so we've got just a few more minutes. And today's topic that we wanted to focus on is goal setting. Now we, again, sent out the forms so you can kind of get going on what is it that you want to accomplish during this 8 weeks. And because, again, my background is in fitness, I've done so many of what's called like a, like a goal-setting session with folks. And what I've come to realize is that, I'm working out 3 times a week, blah, 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 and my goal is just weight loss, and my goal is this, and those things are so, they're too big, or they're not meaningful enough, or, so how do you pick it apart so that it really makes sense and it sticks? And a lot of you, in your forms, when you responded back to us, it said, I'm doing this because I want to be motivated, and I'm hoping this is going to stick. You know what I mean? So many of us go through these ebb and flows, right? I'm really on right now, and now I'm not, and now I'm on again. And girls, you want to do this diet with me? And girl, now I'm on Pilates, and now I'm on. We go through these cycles of we're on, and then we're off on. And what's so cool about, again, this challenge is, and we went to the Walnut Run and we were talking to folks. Is anybody here from the Walnut Run? Did they come from? Thank you. Yay! Eric, I'm so happy. and so many of those women were really active, and they're like, so what's this about? You know what I mean? Because I'm active. I don't have a problem with running. I'm fit, and I'm like, okay, but that's not the only spoke. We got all this over here that you're potentially not touching on. Or, if you're a super fat runner, maybe, we need to branch into some yoga, or maybe we need to address some muscular imbalances by blah, 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 or maybe your core strength can enhance your, are you looking at all of these different things to really bolster your success? So,
I don't want to show hands because this isn't something people really want to talk about, but maybe you have some issues with how you relate to your body. Most people I know, and this isn't exclusive to women as I always thought, don't feel good enough about the body that they live in, and a lot of people I know actually spend a lot of negative energy toward their own bodies. I just hate this, and I hate that, and I wish I had one of those, and blah, blah, blah. So we have somebody who's going to help us, just a little bit, talk about that mind-body connection.
Yeah. So when we're talking about goal setting, we're talking about, I want you to drill. There's all these layers, right? So I just threw up an example because I'm sure most of you, show of hands, know what a SMART goal is, right? I could sit up here and kind of preach how do you make a SMART goal? It's got to be specific and measurable and attainable and blah, 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 and all of these things. But, what does that mean? Could you give me an example instead of just telling me what that means? Can you actually apply it to my goal? So here's what I did, and really quick we'll kind of go through it. So what's your target? Again, we've got these 8 spokes of Walnut, and I'm sorry that this is not Walnut, but we're having a hard time on the connection. So what is the area that you feel you're lacking the most in? Because that's really that's what this is about, is addressing that and trying to bring balance to your life by addressing that area. And this is 8 weeks, people, so we don't have time to do all 8. We're talking about small, let's make it small. So let's drill down. By the way, the acronym PREACH, FFA, that's what it was. Preach. We're going to preach fun, fabulous, and fierce. But that's actually the 8 spokes of Walnut. That was my up on the soapbox. I'm preaching the fun, fabulous,
Sunday morning.
That's right. Okay, so SMART goal setting, for those of you who are not familiar, specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-based. That's what I'm going for. And you'll see if you Google it, there's actually, sometimes it'll say something different, attainable, or, whatever. This is what I'm using because I feel like it works the best for us right now. So let's see this in action. So if I've got a goal, and my goal is personal development, which a lot of you guys have, what does that mean? Personal development. Let's say, I'm just going to use myself for instance, becoming the person I want to be, right? So what does that mean? So to me, that means less stressed, I want to be more confident, I want to be happy, I want to be healthy. Okay? So then pick one of those. And sometimes they overlap, and your actions that you take will kind of address all of them, and sometimes it doesn't. So let's drill down even farther. So now I'm thinking, what's the thing that's going to have the biggest effect on my health and happiness right now? Not like last month, not like 2 months ago, but like right now, what's the thing that I'm grappling with? Stress. And I know I'm not probably the only one who's got stress in their life. So stress. So that's my what. So we're talking about who, what, where, why. So how can we get more specific? Because I don't want to just say, I need to reduce my stress. And at the end of this 8 weeks, hopefully I'll be stress-free. Like that's not how it works. So specifically, what creates stress for me? It's work potentially. It's rushing around all the time. I got to drop my kid off at school, and then I got to go to the library and return my books, and then I got to go over here, and I'm going to volunteer my time for blah, 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 blah. And oh, wait, now I got to work, and I'm trying to get him this project. This project is due next week, and now I got a meeting, and running around like you're like, crap. Am I the only one who does that? I get in the car, and I'm like, oh, crap, it's like 9 already? Like, I'm supposed to be somewhere right now. Being late, when you're running around, oftentimes, like, then you're 5 minutes late, and then the next thing is, like, you're 10 minutes late, and at the end of the day, then you're, like, running half an hour behind, or you're like, I gotta scrap that. That play date that we were talking about, dude, I'm way behind, so, like, that ain't happening. Yeah, thank you. And, the other 2 things are dinner time and lack of me time. So specifically, what creates stress for you? Like, make a whole brainstorm about it. And then where? So let's think of some places specifically where you experience the stress. Is it at home? Is it at work? I mean, where are the places that you're actually viscerally feeling this when it comes on? Where are you? Are you in the car? You know what I mean? Are you at your kid's school? Like, what's triggering this stress for you? And then why? Why is it important to you? When you guys came in and I said, write down your goals, right? On your name tag. And some of you were like, oh, crap. I got to remember my goals. and I started thinking, if you can't remember them, they're probably not that important. So think about that for a second. Because if you can't remember it, it ain't that important. It should be something that is at the forefront of your life right now. It's right there. And you should know why. Why is that so important? So for stress, my stress directly affects my health. I can't be the person I want to be if I'm stressed out, because I can hear myself yelling at my kids, and I can hear myself talking to my husband, and I'm talking like my mom, and I'm like, I am channeling my mom right now. Like, I'm talking to her like he's my kid, you know what I mean? And I'm saying that because your mom's like, you need to blah, 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 your parents, right? And then I start talking to my husband like that. You need to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, whoa, let me take a step back here for a second. Like, does that mean I just said that? That's crazy. And so it affects my relationship with my husband. It affects my relationship with my kids. The quality of work that I produce at work. Can I give a effective presentation if I'm thinking about, all this other stuff that's going on in my life? You probably won't be as present, right? And that's important. Also because I want to be happy. And in order to be genuinely happy, I have to deal with those things that are creating that stress so that I can just mellow out, right? Okay, so measurable. How can this be measured? So there's some different ways. You have to be able to quantify it. You have to. Otherwise it's like this flighty and maybe you say, yeah, I did it, but really like there's nobody that can check you. Somebody like your partner should be able to put you in check. Like, did you do this? And you could say, no. And then you're like, okay, well then you didn't reach your goal. Or vice versa, did you do this? Yeah, I totally did that. Sweet! Then you reached your goals for the day. So, you could rate your current average stress level on a scale of 1 to 5. Like take an average of maybe the last 4 weeks. Like how stressed out have I been? 5 being like, oh my God, I have a breakdown. And 1 being like, not so much, right? And then also you can note the number of events that you've been late to in the past month. Late is one of the things that creates stress for you. How many events have you been late to, right? And then if you were to apply a strategy, after that, hopefully no events you were late to because you fixed that problem, you come up with a strategy. Or the amount of time that you're currently spending alone. How much time do you spend alone right now to meditate, to center, to ground? If that's 0, you put 0, and hopefully at the end of the 8 weeks, you're spending a lot more time than 0, and that's a positive, right? You're moving towards your goals. So action-oriented. So what is it that I need to do to help me decrease the stress I experience every day? To come up with a game plan. What are your action steps? So I need to take more time to prepare for the week. So maybe every Sunday night, you're preparing for the rest of the week. You're pulling up your calendar, you're looking at your kids. This is why I like Google Calendar. I've got my kids in green, I got my husband in gray, I got me in turquoise, and then all these other events so that I can see where everybody is at. And, oh crap, my son needs a ride, and I've got a meeting, and my husband has a client, and now I got to switch, you know what I mean? You can see that ahead of time. Instead of you get to the day and you're like, oh, crap. Like, no, we don't have anybody to pick up my kid, and now I'm stressed out. So you can plan for all of that. Schedule time for yourself to be alone. Create less hectic schedule. Say no to something. So they're like, PTA, come on. And you're like, oh my God, if I do one more thing, but I'm supposed to be responsible, but no. Say no. I can't do it right now. It's not within my capacity. Learn to cook easy recipes. One thing that I started doing with some friends more recently is having like potluck nights. So like I go, our kids kick it, I bring something, they bring something. We did this a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, wow, that just made that whole process so much less stressful. You know, because doing it, my husband works at night. So I'm alone with the kids, and they're running around, and they're in the kitchen, and they're throwing things, and I'm trying to cook, and I hate dinner time. It freaking stresses me out. And I don't want to make an elaborate meal, so then you're like, what's my quick go-to? Mac and cheese and hot dogs. You know what I mean? It's like, you can't have mac and cheese and hot dogs every day. So being able to equip yourself with some skills, like what are some really quick things that you can make that might be fun that you can include the kids in? What are some ways that maybe you don't even cook dinner? I just go to Tanya's, and Tanya's like, I got the spread laid out, just watch the kids. Sweet! We'll be in the backyard, you do your thing, and then reciprocate, maybe every other week or something like that. So, some ideas. Realistic. Is my goal going to push me but not kill me? It shouldn't be so easy that you're like, you reached it at the end of the week. It should be challenging, right? And that's the only way you're going to feel that, like, yes, I did it. But it shouldn't kill you. It shouldn't be like, all of a sudden, Tanya was sharing with me, and one of her goals for the challenge that she did before was, every night, what was it? Every night you're going to make dinner? 5 days a week she's going to make dinner. Yeah, but she wasn't even close to that before she started the challenge. But, oh no, 5 days a week on this, for however many, 8 weeks, I'm going to do that. At the end of the first week, she's like, yeah, that's not happening.
Well, the problem wasn't just that I wasn't making dinner. The problem was that first of all, the way I phrased the goal. So, I lose automatically because a friend invited us over for dinner, and we have plans on Saturday, and we have other plans on Sunday. So that's 3 nights. I can only possibly make dinner 4 times. So that's not the point of the goal, isn't the making dinner. Is it, I want to eat and have a family meal? And then I got down to it, and I was like, you know what I really want? It's not the cooking and all that other stuff. It's not even the family time. I don't want to throw away all the groceries anymore. That's what I hate, is throwing away that perfectly good stuff, but it's rotten now. And I was like, that just kills me every week. So once I started thinking through that, I was like, all right, I just need to buy fewer things maybe, or go to the store with a grocery shopping list. So one of our partners is 6 o'clock scramble, and we don't have time to talk about it right now, but there's a blog post about it. Check it out. They can solve that problem for you. They'll give you the meal plan, they'll give you the grocery list. Everything has a purpose, everything has a place. So if that's one of the things you're thinking about, we can kill it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, as far as it being realistic, can you be 70% sure that you can achieve that? Because if you're not, it ain't a good goal. You need to restructure it somehow. So you need to have confidence that you can, maybe not 100% because that's too easy. But you need to say with fair certainty that you'd be able to do it.
Will these notes that you're putting up here, will you put those on the website
absolutely.
for us? That'd be
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah. Okay. And then time-based. So we've got 8 weeks, right? Thank you for coming. Have a good day. No worries. You're good. Can I break this down further? Can you go week by week? Can you go day by day? Can you go the morning time? I just need to get through the morning. Sometimes minute by minute. Like, I just need to get through this crying. It's like 20 minutes of crying every minute. So, can you make it through each phase of the day? So breaking it down. And then creating a SMART goal statement. So at the end of all that, you should have this statement you could plug all this stuff in. So my goal is to reduce the amount of chronic stress I experience at work and at home over the next 8 months by organizing my calendar at the beginning of every week, making sure I don't overbook each day, scheduling time for myself every day, and planning 1 potluck dinner a week with a friend. Specific, right? Measurable. I put all of those things into that one statement. So if I were to tell Tanya, hey, you're my partner, here's what I'm trying to accomplish, she can ask me, because I said day to day, I need to do something for myself. Every day she could check with me, did you do your thing for yourself yet? Crap. No. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be able to say that, and I can measure it every day.
Now I need to figure out some 5 minutes today
Right.
that I'm going to use to achieve that.
Right.
Or
Yeah.
I need to work on it tomorrow, but like it's in my mind all the time now that this is the thing that matters to me, and therefore I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's the check and balances, right? The check and balances. It's good to have somebody else. You put it out into the universe. You let peeps know what it is that you're trying to accomplish. And what's so amazing about that, I don't know if you guys watch The Secret or some of these other documentaries, what's so cool about saying it out loud, even if it's like, oh God, I don't want everybody to know that I'm having a hard time in the romance department, or I'm having, you know what I mean? But putting it out there amongst women, you know, at least, you'll be amazed how many other people share in that and who want to help you. Like, people come out of the woodwork and they're like, shut up, I'm blah, 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 and I can help you because I did it, it's them. And you're like, no way. And then they're like, yeah, I'm looking to do this. And you're like, I do that. Me too. Let me help you. Oh my God. So it's cool to have goals that overlap, but it's also cool to have goals that don't overlap, because then I'm feeding off her strength in an area that I'm like weak at, right? So that's all. So this is the last, we're going to close it up. So get to goal setting, because this is kind of the big tip of the iceberg, right? We got to have this in order to really feel like we're accomplished the rest of the 8 weeks. Partners. So if you do not have a partner, if you have time, hang out with us and we'll make sure we get you connected. If you don't have time, that's totally okay. We will communicate with you via email or Facebook or what have you, and make sure at the end of this week, by the latest, we got you with somebody. Okay? Does that sound good?
So as far as earnings point, we'll send out some instructions and more details about how that can happen. We didn't figure today would be the time for it. We've thrown a whole lot of information at you, and I'm sure, as everyone in this room can say by now, we have very low energy and very low motivation. Enthusiasm is tough to come by around here. So Tina and I are just so thrilled to have you here. I mean, it's truly a dream come true. So thank you all for being here, and next week we're going to do yoga. We're going to talk a little bit more. We're going to learn a little bit more about light tonight. But thank you. Thank you.